What's up everybody, I'm Jesse, this is my garage. Here's our $2,000 300ZX project car that I've been working on the channel. If you're not up to date on that, go back and watch some of the other videos. But today, we're gonna talk about what makes the 300ZX a daily driver, and is it or can it be your daily driver? Stay tuned because we're gonna talk about that right now. Can the 300ZX be your daily driver? Is it a good starter car? Can it be your only car? Well, maybe and maybe not. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do, absolutely. I'm just here to give you some information, give you some perspective, and maybe think about some stuff that you weren't thinking about. What makes these cars enticing is the fact that everybody's sleeping on these cars. They're a JDM legend from the 90s. That in the 90s it was extremely expensive. That nowadays we can find, well, I mean, I found one for $2,300. I bought that one for, but I also bought it knowing that I was going to completely tear it apart and do a restoration on it. And if you're watching the channel, you kind of can see how we're doing that. But you know, you want to buy one for $2,000-$3,000 and think it's going to be a fun car to just drive. That can leave you maybe with a sour taste in your mouth about this car when it's not reliable and you have to keep constantly giving it attention. And that's where I say maybe not. If it's solely your transportation to get to work, to get to school, and you need to get that to pay the bills, go to school, go to work, whatever you're doing, and you're relying on a 30-year-old vehicle. Now I'm gonna say this about any 30-year-old vehicle, any of them, all of them are gonna need maintenance. So put that in your mind first, that not only this is a 300ZX, but it's a 30-year-old vehicle. 30-year-old vehicles are gonna come with some baggage, previous owner baggage, previous non-maintenance baggage. You're gonna have to take on all the maintenance that the other owners didn't do and then pass the buck along until the car fails and ends up in the junkyard. And hopefully that's not with you, because that's why you're here on this channel. You're here to learn, you're here to gain some perspective and know what to do to keep these cars reliable. All right, so the next question I want to ask is, cheap equal unreliable, so that must mean more money equals reliable, right? Well, in theory it should, but you also want to do your due diligence, and that's why you're on this channel right now, because I'm going to teach you what to look for to make sure that you know the car you're buying is going to be up to speed, up to date, and gonna give you the best driving experience you can for whatever price range you're in. All right, so what is our due diligence? Well, we need to make sure that whatever car we're looking at, if we want it to be our daily driver, we want it to be a fun car, we want it to be a reliable car, we need to make sure some of the basic components are taken care of. And number one is gonna be the 120K service. This is going to be the most important service that is going to give you an enjoyable experience for your 300ZX. And on the other hand, can literally just put it in the junkyard and make you be one of the people that hates the 300ZX. And it doesn't have to be like that. The 120K service, I'm not gonna go over it here, just know you need it. If you want to hear more about that, I'll link it in the video right over here. Make sure and watch that. It's called 120K service, more than just the timing belt. And it is the timing belt service on your 300ZX. The VG motor is an interference engine, so if that timing belt goes, the engine goes, basically. I mean, that's just the short and simple of that. So that's what makes that number one. And then if the timing belt goes and you are gonna replace it, I mean, now you have to basically get a new motor or get your motor rebuilt with all kinds of new parts and machine shop and all this stuff. It could be extremely expensive if you're gonna have somebody else do it. Or it can be a huge pain if you're gonna do it and still be expensive. So just to get back up to zero, you're gonna have to sink a bunch of money into that when you should have done the service, or at least made sure the service was done beforehand. I can't stress that enough. Another thing with these cars that can give you a hard time and make weird issues for you to have to diagnose, and if you just wanna drive this car and not be in the garage with it, not put it on jack stands, because we're talking about a daily driver, right? So a daily driver needs to be able to start every day and drive you to whatever is important that you have to get to that day. and that is the phase 1 injectors on this car that come on the earlier models tend to corrode and fail and give you issues that you would have to replace, which you have to take off the whole upper plenum to do it. So you can see that if some of this stuff has been neglected and not been taken care of, and then you get the car, and then you get these big massive projects to work on, not super duper fun. So is the 300ZX a good daily? Maybe, maybe not. But I'll tell you what, it is a great project car, and it's a great car to learn and hone in your skills. So to kind of wrap this up, I'm sure you're tired of hearing me ramble about maintenance that you need to do on your 300ZX. I just want to get you thinking that we need to do our due diligence in looking at the car. And even though we like the idea of having a 300ZX or having an awesome JDM Legends from the 90s as either our first car or our only mode of transportation, it might not be feasible now. We might want to get something else that's more reliable and then get a 300ZX next as a project car to work on. Otherwise, I would definitely suggest doing your due diligence. You're gonna hear that multiple times because you need to hone that in, and then looking for a car that has all the maintenance done. Now, if you can find a car that has had the fuel system, the electrical system, the timing system, it's all in the cooling system, all been taken care of at some point recently in the last, 15 years, I'll cut the car's life in half and I'll say within at least in the last 15 years, you're gonna have a better experience. Because if we go back 15 years ago, what is that, like 2006, and now we're talking about 350Zs, and I would suggest a 350Z if you want a 300ZX, but I'm gonna talk about that in just one more minute, so stick around just a minute longer. So I'd say we wanna see that service done within the last 15 years, but then also at the same time, that's half the car's life, so some of that stuff might be needing service again. And if you can really catch a car that's had a lot of service and maintenance done in the last 5 years, then you're really doing good. That car's gonna be more reliable, better daily driving experience for you, better overall experience with the 300ZX in general. All right, so like I said, if you have 300ZX fever, 300ZX mania, these cars are awesome. They are super cool, and I'm definitely not here to tell anybody that you shouldn't get a car, because look, I've got one right here. But I can tell you what, it's not necessarily my daily driver. I have multiple cars to choose from. We've got a 240SX here, gets no mileage. I never drive it, it's sad. We have the 350Z that lives in this garage as well. And then I've also got a Tundra. Doesn't matter, it doesn't matter about me. The thing is, I did buy this to do, let's make the 300ZX a daily driver. Let's make it reliable. Let's see what it does, see what it takes, and see if it leaves me on the side of the road or not. So far, so good. But I am, and if you're following this channel and watching the videos, I am tearing this thing apart, putting it back together, refreshing, restoring, rebuilding all the systems. And we might add a couple turbos in there, but you can join me on that journey, replicate my success. You can have the same success, and you're watching these videos, so you're already doing the right thing. If you're getting any value out of it, smash that like button so YouTube algorithm can put it in front of somebody else that needs to hear this information. All right, so to wrap this all up, before I just keep rambling about how important it is to service your 300ZX, and if you buy one, you're probably gonna need to do maintenance on it. You're probably gonna need to do service on it. Watch some of my other videos, because obviously I talk a lot and I talk about those subjects. But I'm here to shine some light. If you want a 300ZX and you love the Nissan Z chassis, because they're freaking awesome, I do have a little bit of light and maybe a different option that'll set you up for a better experience if you don't want to deal with the headache that is the maintenance on a 30-year-old vehicle to make sure it's reliable. Is I highly suggest the Nissan 350Z. They're a newer car. They don't have a timing belt, they have a timing chain. They're just newer, the suspension's newer. They made that car all the way up until 2008. And then of course the 370Z in 2009, and the 400ZX is coming out soon. So there's a lot of options to choose from. That car is a blast, but it is extremely different from the 300ZX. it is a different driving experience altogether. It's smaller, more compact. The 300ZX is larger, more plush. It's a straight cruiser, and it is a super fun car that I want everybody that wants one to get one. I just don't want you to get one, have a bad experience with it, because nobody told you all the baggage that might come with just a 30-year-old car in general. I don't care if it's a Supra, a Skyline, an RX-7, a 30-year-old Honda. I mean, you might be able to beat on some of those cars, some not, like the Mazda RX-7, that's just right in. That's worse than this for reliability, and you better know how to rebuild a rotary engine. Definitely there's something special about the Nissan Z chassis, no matter which one you were to get and drive. So the 300ZX just might be a little bit more than you want to deal with. I highly suggest the 350Z. They're super fun, and there's a ton of parts. They're super modifiable as well. Or if you want a 300ZX, get one of those, subscribe to this channel, and let's go through the journey together. So thank you so much for watching. Follow me on Instagram @BuildTheory. Make sure to subscribe to this, like the video, and I will see you on the next one.